All right, so this is a article from M.N. Gordon on the website economicprism.com. Janet Yellen's 78-month plan for the national monetary policy of the United States. Adventurers in depravity are nearly always confronted with the unpleasant reality that stopping the degeneracy is much more difficult than starting it. This realization and the unsettling feeling that comes with it usually surfaces just after passing the point of no return. That's when the cucumber has pickled over and the prospect of turning it back is no longer an option. Late in November 2008, Federal Reserve Chairman, one of my favorites too, Ben Bernanke, also known as the Bernanke, committed a fait accompli, or is that accompli? But he didn't recognize it at the time, for he was blinded by his myopic prejudices. Bernanke, a self-fancied Great Depression history buff with the highest academic credentials, gazed back 80 years, observed several credit market parallels, and then made a preconceived diagnosis. After that, he picked up his desktop copy of A Monetary History of the United States by Milton Friedman and Anna Schwarzer, Anna. Turned to the chapter on the Great Depression and got to work expanding the Fed's balance sheet. Keeping in mind what he said then too. Keep in mind, by 2016 or so, the balance sheet will be back to normal. 2016 came and went. 2017, it's still $4.5 trillion. And now, as I said the other day, he's blogged a couple times, I heard, read one of his quotes, that maybe we don't have to unwind. Maybe we can just leave it. That'll be the new norm. Matter of fact, adding to the balance sheet might even be okay too. It's there should be no harm there. But Bernanke, part of you getting congressional approval to do what you did, essentially, was you showing this chart of how it'll normalize back down in 2016. And like we so-called conspiracy theorists said, myself included, not a chance in hell. So now they're ready to deal with it. Now we're ready to get on with it. And they're going to peck at it. We're not going to do anything meaningful. We're going to peck at it for a few years. Okay. And again, I can't wait to see how this goes. Like I said, where does it go? You unwind it. We're unwinding it, but it doesn't just disappear. It really doesn't. So anyways, Bernanke's dirty deed commenced with the purchase of $600 billion in mortgage-backed securities using digital monetary credits conjured up, well, from thin air. By March 2009, he'd run up the Fed's balance sheet from $900 billion to $1.75 trillion. Then over the next 5 years, he ballooned it out to $4.5 trillion. Yes, that's dollars. All the while, Bernanke flattered his ego with platitudes that he was preventing Great Depression too. Did it ever occur to him he was merely postponing a much-needed financial liquidation and rebalancing? Did he comprehend that his actions were further distorting the economy and setting it up for an even greater bust? Normalization principles and plans. Perhaps Bernanke understood exactly what he was doing. As many readers have hammered over the years, the Fed works for the big banks and big money interests, not you, i.e. Main Street. Regardless, the Fed recognizes that the optics of its $4.5 trillion balance sheet has become a bit skewed. The Great Recession officially ended over 8 years ago. Why is the Fed's balance sheet still at extreme height? On Wednesday, Fed Chair Janet Yellen attempted to clarify what the Fed's going to do about it. Following the two-day Federal Open Market Committee meeting, the Fed issued its customary statement. Therein, it mentioned that balance sheet normalization would be initiated in October, which, again, they said it would be October 1st. The referenced implementation note offered details on how the Fed will go about contracting its balance sheet. Effective on October 2017, or in October 2017, the committee directs the open market desk to roll over at auction the amount of principal payments from the Federal Reserve's holdings of Treasury securities maturing during each calendar month that exceeds $6 billion, and to reinvest in agency mortgage-backed securities the amount of principal payments from the Federal Reserve's holdings of agency debt and agency mortgage-backed securities received during each calendar month that exceeds $4 billion. That was the end quote. Moreover, if we correctly interpreted the Fed's June 2017 addendum to the policy normalization principles and plans, the Fed plans to increase this initial $10 billion balance sheet contraction every 3 months by increments of $10 billion until they reach $50 billion per month. Then they'll let it ride until they're back to normal, though it is unclear what the Fed believes is normal, what to make of it. Janet Yellen's 78-month plan for the national monetary policy of the United States. By our back of the napkin calculation, starting with October's initial $10 billion reduction, then incrementally increasing the reduction by $10 billion each quarter until hitting $50 billion per month, and then contracting by $50 billion a month from there, it will take 78 months for the Fed to get its balance sheet back to $900 billion or so, i.e. where it was before Bernanke's act of depravity. Thus, in roughly 6.5 years, or in March 2024, monetary policy will be back to normal. If you recall, the Soviets operated under 5-year plans for the development of the national economy of the USSR. Now Yellen, an ardent central planner and control freak, has charted the Fed's 78-month plan for the national monetary policy of the United States. Have you ever heard of something so ridiculous? However, while the Soviets were zealous believers in their plans, we suspect the Fed will be as committed to the cause as a fat person to a New Year's Day diet. In truth, the Fed will never, ever reduce its balance sheet to $900 billion. They won't even get close. They are past the point of no return. For starters, financial markets will not allow the Fed to execute its 78-month tightening program according to plan. At some point, credit markets will have a severe reaction. This would ripple through stock markets and nearly all assets that are propped up by cheap credit. What's more, if this doesn't panic the Fed from its master 78-month monetary policy plan, the economy will. No doubt, at some point within the next 78 months, the U.S. economy will shrink, and then what will the Fed do? Continue as planned? Or we had an unforeseen event, there's some unforeseen events, we're going to have to stop what we were doing, and we're going to have to pump up the balance sheet again. Why is Ben Bernanke all of a sudden, he's no longer, he has no authority anymore, he's gone. He's busy giving big-time speeches, big paid speeches everywhere. Why is he talking about leaving the balance sheet so high? That it might be okay, it'd be a good thing actually, come to think of it. If the Fed, in fact, is going to be reducing it, why is Ben Bernanke saying, let's not reduce it all of a sudden? Will they continue to tighten in the face of a contracting economy? There's no way. They'll ease, and then they'll ease some more. They won't stop until it's near impossible for an honest person to work hard, save their money, and pay their way in life. For many fine fellows who were pickled over in the last easing cycle, the Fed already has. Sincerely, M.N. Gordon for Economic Prism. Excuse me. And again, I just got in on the way home ride talking about the Apple iPad. Was that Zero Hedge also? iPhone? Yeah, let me just go into that. This is embarrassing. Speaking of people who don't have any money, looks like we're already heading that way, right? Zero Hedge. This is embarrassing. 2 people show up for iPhone 8 launch in China. And you know the Chinese on all these gadgets, boy, they're big time buyers of Apple stuff. I mean, hell, they're making it in these sweatshops. You gotta at least go buy some locally, hell. Confirming reports that reception of Apple's newly launched iPhone 8 may be underwhelming, to put it lightly, as the phone provides little, if any, material improvement over its lower-priced predecessor, even as sales for hardcore fans will be cannibalized by the iPhone X, is the following report from China, which shows that all of 2 people were waiting in line for the latest gizmo from Tim Cook. They even had police outside waiting for this huge Look at this. Look at this. This huge line could be forming. We're going to be blowing them out down the freaking street. No, just us two. 1, 2, 3 police officers. You know, get back. There's too many of you. Oh, and here, look at this. I got these up. Hey, oh, you guys get in line. Oh, never mind. Go ahead and remove that little gating stuff. There's only 2 people. Police officers, appreciate you. We're going to cut your salary, you know, side job. We're going to cut you off a little early today. I think we can handle these 2 guys. I don't think anything's getting out of control. They're not going to be fighting over the last iPhone 8. Apparently, there's plenty in stock. So if people ain't out buying and spending, and anything Apple new comes out again, I got iPhone 17, iPhone 18. Oh my God. And I know there's some of y'all who do it because y'all done told me, and I know that, and I know people are people. People are people, so why should it be? They want to go out and get a iPhone 15. Seriously. But you know, it is what it is. So people don't have the discretionary spending. Things have to deflate, starting with the most expensive, where people's money is going, i.e. housing, rents, etc. Car payments next. Credit cards, all of it. But that's, you know, it's not like your credit card's going up. Like they're charging you more, you know, rent. They're, you know, you just have interest. They've always been charging 20, 22, 23%, whatever. Nothing new there. And I just decided on a whim, kind of, not even really a whim. Okay, the house, we like I said, we had, I was expecting a certain amount to have to give for the down payment of the house. They already had it as an estimate. But then the final number was thousands, quite a few thousands lower, like around 8,000 or so lower than expected. And I know I keep telling y'all, every time I get a little bit extra money, do I want to pay my car off? My wife, pay the car off. No, I put it into cryptos. But I'm, you know, I'm sitting pretty decently in cryptos, you know what I mean? So I just thought, you know what? It'd make her happy too. Because we had the extra money coming back and all that stuff. Evelyn, not only am I paying off my car, we're going to pay off your car. So she's about to send the check in. They're like, oh, well, you can go to Mid-Florida Credit Union. They're an affiliate of ours, and you can pay it off in person. Okay, so she goes in. We keep telling them to stop saying that. We can't do that. We cannot do it here. Okay, so then she calls them. Oh, well, you could send a check, but you have to have a letter attached with the check stating that you want to pay it off in full, and it's got to be notarized and signed. No, if I have a balance of you owe this amount on this car, and I'm making you payments every month, and I give you the full amount to pay it off in full, I don't need to give you something in writing telling you I want to pay it off in full, and it's notarized and signed. I am writing you a check in my damn name, my signature, my bank account, and a little note on the side, little memo, pay off car, pay off minivan. So we've just decided, you know, we got little savings, of course. We've been saving over, you know, a period of time. And I just thought, yeah, I'm going to dump this stuff into cryptos so bad, but I've already dumped a lot into cryptos, and I put more into cryptos, and I put more into cryptos. And she's like, you know, originally you weren't going to put that much into these cryptos. And I didn't really, you know, she didn't really say anything. So I'm like, you know what? All right. Got a good point. And of course, there is the risk that for whatever reason, cryptos, hey, something happened. Jamie Dimon got it right. They're crashing, and oh my God, we're all losing. Then what? Then what am I going to tell her? Oh yeah, remember when you were asking me to pay the car off? Not even yours, just mine. And I was like, no, I'm going to put in the cryptos, and I will always be able to say, yeah, but Evan, this house we got, that move alone more than made up for any and all things in crypto that we are invested in. That one move in Veritasium means we won. Even if we just lost everything right now in cryptos, we still won. But nonetheless, get the hell out of debt. You're talking a $400 roughly a month payment that she was making, gone. I owed a small amount of my car. Honestly, I was still making payments every month, but I wasn't making huge payments because I did want to put some into cryptos. But now it's like, all right, I got a little bit left. Just knock that thing out. Evelyn, let's pay right now. So It's done. We literally will have no debt other than this house. And I have, not fully, but massively, mostly, to thank cryptos. And along with that, automatically goes to Cliff High for him giving us the foresight of certain ones to pay attention to, if you know what I mean. And I did, many of you did, and we won on some of those. So I do thank him for that, for the information. But it's nice not having, you know, you're used to it, you're used to making payments on stuff, and then all of a sudden it goes away, and you're like, all right, I got enough money to pay that off. Sometimes it's like a boulder's been lifted that you didn't realize was there. A lot of times you feel that boulder, oh, I got this nut I got to crack every month, oh, feel the stress of it. But a lot of times you don't. You're just doing it, and it's normal, and it's okay, and then you pay it off. Then all of a sudden, wait, this boulder just got lifted. I didn't even know it was there, so to speak. But now that I'm not making the payment, oh, it feels great. And again, what's the number one reason we want to get into these cryptos and everything else? We want to get out of debt. Pay your house massively down. Maybe pay it off. Get your car paid off. Get your credit cards paid off. Right? That's the name of the game. So, yeah, I know cryptos are down here recently, but whatever. We know they're going back up. And I've taken profits, like I've mentioned. Anyway, so yeah, we're paying off our debt. Only thing I have left is this house. And again, I keep telling myself, I'm going to be probably doing a video, again, if cryptos continue like Cliff has forecast, and his forecasts have been fantastic. This house will be paid off next year. Maybe early next year. Which means I will have made maybe a few payments, and then it's freaking paid off. I can't even, my brain is having trouble fathoming and understanding that could actually happen. The most expensive house I've ever owned in my life, rent, or however you want to look at monthly payment, by far compared to everything I've ever owned or rented. And it's a little scary, you know, doing that. And telling myself that there's a, matter of fact, a very high probability it's going to happen. It'll be paid off with these freaking cryptos. These digital things in the ether, out in the ether on the computers and the networks and the interwebs. But it's there. People are making money. And that's why I am covering the living crap out of those cryptos. So that you and I can get in, get out, get in, get out, do whatever you do. And I got to tell y'all, don't be scared to take a freaking profit. Don't sit there and hold on to these things forever. And I'm talking about the ones that have nice returns already. And you're like, oh, wow, I'm up, you know, whether it's 50%, 100%, 200%. And you're thinking, oh, well, I'm on to 20% or 20 times, you know, 2,000%. We've seen a few of those, right? Of just a few. And I don't know that there'll be other ones that do that other than Cliff High saying, oh, me say go. Could be definitely another, data shows anyways, that it could be another Veritasium in the fourth quarter. Which is why I ain't touching. I loaded the boat on some of my stuff. Unloaded a little bit across the board a while back, as I told you, to get into OME Say Go or OMG coin. I also wanted to get heavy into Litecoin prior to that, so I, you know, moved some stuff around a little bit. But I've got all of the coins I've ever talked about. But as new ICOs come out, something we all need to think about, like individually, don't rely on me to tell you, but at what point, whatever you're holding, do you say, this thing either hasn't moved very much and it finally jumped nicely? Do I sell off, take the profit so I can play the game elsewhere, or even spread it on a couple, 2 or 3 other ones? Or do you sit back and wait because now that it's finally moving, is it going to go even higher? And I don't have the answer for that. But I can tell you, don't be scared to take a freaking profit when the profit is staring you in the face and it's nice. Okay. Take care.